Why we need organic food in schools, presenting information on the impact of pesticides and GMOs on children and the need to grow and provide organic food in schools. Brought to you by York Region Environmental Alliance, advocating against pesticides since 2002. The impact on children's health of pesticides in our food. It is linked to so many diseases, including cancer, autism, asthma, ADHD, genetic changes, birth defects, developmental delays, diabetes, and learning disabilities. It is an endocrine disruptor, which means it interferes with hormones and hormone balance, and it decreases nutritional value of food, causes antibiotic resistance. And look at the rise in all these diseases. It is an increase, and this only goes to 2011. I can imagine how much higher it would be now if we got up-to-date data, which we are monitoring. But all of them, developmental disabilities, ADHD, they're all growing, all these diseases, because of pesticides. So a breakdown of a few we will look at: glyphosate, atrazine, chlorpyrifos, and the neonicotinoid family. Glyphosate, which is also called Roundup, is a synthetic herbicide widely used in agriculture, forestry, industrial sites, groundskeeping, and aquatic environments. The routes of exposure: inhalation, skin contact, and ingestion. Environmental exposure through diet, domestic and farm applications, and it interferes with many metabolic processes in plants, animals, and humans. Residues have been found in all three, and glyphosate is the most widely sold and applied pesticide in Canada. And this has the shocking 25 million kilograms a year. The connection between human health and soil health. Our health is in a large part determined by the health of the soil in which our food is grown through the nutrients or toxins taken up by plants and animals that eat the plants, which we in turn consume. The human body must get alkaloids and essential amino acids from plant foods that feed off bacteria in soil. Glyphosate kills off beneficial microbes and bacteria in soil, affecting human gut microbiome and causing antibiotic resistance. And look at the comparable rise in autism in children. It's completely aligned with the rise in pesticide use of glyphosate. And here we go. It's not gluten intolerance, folks. It's glyphosate intolerance. And this is by two scientists that have researched this. But celiac disease is associated with imbalances in gut bacteria, just like the known effects of glyphosate on gut bacteria. Also, it's associated with impairment of enzymes, and glyphosate inhibits enzymes. Also, we said that deficiency in all these minerals that are essential, glyphosate's strong ability to chelate these, that's what it does. It actually scrubs out these nutrients that we need. So deficiencies also in tryptophan and tyrosine and other amino acids associated with celiac disease match glyphosate's known depletion of these. So celiac disease patients have a known increased risk for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which has been implicated in glyphosate exposure. And here's the proof. Italy banned pre-harvest spray of wheat with glyphosate in 2016 and set the maximum residue levels, that's what's allowed to be on the crops, is 10 parts per billion, while Canada continues to allow 5 parts per million, even as it considers raising these levels upon industry request. So people suffering from IBS in Canada do not have problems eating bread, pasta, or other gluten foods in Italy. and Italy has reduced imports of Canadian wheat by 80% due to health concerns regarding pesticide residue. And that's because they spray just before they harvest a lot of not just wheat, not just grains, to just before they harvest it, they spray it to kind of kill it down. And it's not just GMO crops. Roundup used as a desiccant just before harvest on many crops that humans and animals consume, such as cereals, grains, legumes, and sugarcane, leaving more and more pesticide residues. Health Canada has increased maximum levels, MRLs, of 2 pesticides for sugar beets as requested by Syngenta, with more to come. Kellogg's frosted cereals are coated with sugar derived from GMO sugar beets sprayed with Roundup. So that's one of the bad things for all the kids to eat all those cereals. So here are some other things. On the left are the GMO crops that are sprayed before harvest. And then you've got the conventional non-GMO crops that are also sprayed. And you look at oats, wheat, beans, lentils, and so to avoid, we have to buy organic or biodynamic to minimize exposure. And atrazine is the other very bad pesticide. It's used extensively in Canada as a pre- and post-emergent weed killer, primarily for corn, canola, and vegetation control in conventional farming. It is one of the most frequently detected pesticides in surface, ground, and well water. Atrazine contamination has been found in drinking water right across Canada. It's an endocrine hormone disruptor, causing feminized fish, intersexual frogs, and affecting human cell lines. Atrazine is classified as possibly carcinogenic to humans. It is banned in 44 countries, but not in Canada. So the neonicotinoids, this is another terrible pesticide. The seeds are actually coated with this, and when they're planted, what happens is it's a systemic, and what that means that it comes up through the seeds into the plant, the flowers, the fruit, whatever, and all the animals. Like that's why bees have declined, because bees will eat or the nectar of a neonicotinoid plant and it'll kill them. Young children aged 3 to 5 years old had higher neonic exposures, likely from eating non-organic, conventionally grown foods. And prenatal exposure to neonics increases the risk of neurodevelopmental abnormalities and birth defects of the heart and brain. And this is all scientific. These are all science researchers that have provided these studies. This is chlorpyrifos. It's linked to brain damage and low IQ in children. Most often used for wheat, corn, almonds, grapes, and fruit trees, including oranges, bananas, and apples. EU bans brain-harming pesticide. Canada will phase out, but it's allowed indefinitely in Canada on imported foods, outdoor standing water, and greenhouse ornamentals. So what is done to foods to alter them genetically? DNA traits have been engineered in plants to resist pests and herbicides. So BT, which is Bacillus thuringiensis, is a bacteria that is ingested. It's part of a plant cell. So it's in potatoes, in all these vegetables, corn, cotton, rice, but all of them, we're eating them. You can't wash this off when it's genetically modified. It's in the plant. And also Roundup, which is engineered to withstand spraying. It's all in those, some of the same vegetables. We're eating it. And viruses as well. They've been incorporated in the DNA of sweet potatoes, papayas, and zucchini to make them resistant to viral diseases. So we're getting viruses and bacteria and pesticides injected and changing the composition of food that we eat. So here are the 12 most common GMO foods. You can see them all: potatoes, corn, squash, soy. Have a good look at those, and something you can get off the internet too to keep in mind. And here's another study, and these are all studies done by nonprofit organizations that have gone to labs and analyzed these foods. This is GMO Free Canada and USA. Residues of 65 different pesticides were detected in raisins. Look at that. Look at the list of them. So this is quite, and kids eat raisins, right? So we can avoid the worst. There's a list of the dirty dozen for 2023. Usually celery and potatoes are on those, so they're probably number 13 and 14 right now because they've been on the dirty dozen for years. But you can see it's mostly fruit and greens. And then on the right hand side diagram, that's the percentage of produce tested that had pesticide residues. And look at that. All again fruit, but flour, again the grain that's sprayed just before, and all the fruit and bread. So growth hormones and drugs must be eliminated from school lunches. Because they do put growth hormones in meat and actually in milk as well in the States, and we of course import a lot of that, but that's a very bad thing that the kids are eating in school lunches. So what we have to do is make sure that all these things are eliminated from school diets. So one way we can do it is to use only Canadian milk in schools. Anything that has that symbol, the dairy, the cow, fortunately we don't allow growth hormones in milk, whereas in the States they do. So it has never been here, but we do get a lot of imports like Nestle ice cream, or so if you don't see a symbol of the cow on it, it could be imported from the States and it could have growth hormones in it. So why don't we learn from others? And here, this is some compelling information. Copenhagen has converted 60,000 daily meals in public kitchens to 90% organic, all within existing budgets, so in the same amount of money. French Ministry of Agriculture has mandated that 50% of all food served in public canteens must be sustainable and 20% organic. Some are now 100% local and organic. The Scottish Government is supporting organic targets in schools through its funding of their Food for Life program. And look at this on the right, school meal in Rome. 96% of Rome's school meals are made from scratch, and 70% of the ingredients are organic. Much of the produce is local or regional, and menus reflect the seasonality of crops grown in the region. Look at that, it serves 150,000 meals daily to 740 schools. That is, why we can follow this. This is nothing new. And Quebec has a policy, a local food procurement policy that they put into effect in 2020. And the strategy is to have 100% public institutions will have a local food purchasing plan by 2025. But Équiterre has been working to encourage local food for Quebec's public institutions for 20 years. And they also, in daycare schools, universities, hospitals, but they also help to initiate sourcing of local organic food and raising awareness about healthy, environmentally responsible eating. And there's a lot of links here that can be used to look for. So here's an example of better school breakfast alternatives. First of all of these are Canadian, which is good, but Nature's Path does a whole range of organic cereals. Kiju fruit juices or milk, natural milk, Natura if you want soy milk, bread, and made good, so granola bars, so, and of course organic eggs. So all these things could be sourced locally and supporting Canadian companies. So of course everyone says it is more expensive, but we did a breakdown, and unfortunately there is the problem with sizes of boxes, for instance, the cereals. So the best way to find a cost comparison is the cost, and it's by 100 grams, and that's usually listed. So the organic cereal, and that was Nature's Way, is about what, 20 cents more than the conventional Cheerios. Orange juice happened to be the same, the organic. Eggs are a dollar more. Uh, So looking down, bread, what would you serve for lunches? You'd have pasta sauce, carrots, and celery sticks. So all the way down, we're talking about a difference of $6.69. Now, granted, it's by the gram, but still, that would still uh, break down to the same thing. But look at this. So if the cost savings of healthcare, if we did convert to organic, it is said that we could save billions in healthcare costs, reduce many ailments attributed to pesticides, and we would raise student IQ. So we could teach children to grow their own vegetables, and the benefits of non-processed nutritional food. We can mentor a new generation that opts for healthier lifestyle choices. Organics mitigate climate change. I mean, people talking all the time about reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. Well, this was a recent study done by two organizations in Austria. Dairy products were 10 to 21% lower in greenhouse gas emissions than conventional. Wheat was 25% lower, and vegetables 10 to 35% lower in greenhouse gas emissions. So this could be part of a climate change mitigation strategy too, to encourage more organics. So what can be done? These are some groups. Canadian Organic Growers offers a Growing Up Organic school gardening program to establish living classrooms. They have resource guidance for gardens at any school. There's a Farm to Cafeteria, also provides resources and funding and connects schools to local food providers. They're not specifically organic, but that's something that every school could seek out. Organic Campus program is geared to older students at universities and colleges who can take a leadership role. Serve garden produce for school lunches. Shift towards organic in all school breakfasts and lunches, sourced locally when possible. Establish farm to school programs. And this is something YREA is going to do, is lobby the Canadian government to include organics in their national school food policy. And here are some further resources that can be copied and look into for moving along, that even parents and teachers and school boards can look into. So stay in touch with YREA, subscribe to our quarterly e-news, and keep in the loop.